Have you ever just looked up at the night sky and wondered, is all this just some random cosmic accident, or is there actually a purpose behind it all? What if our being here, right now, isn't just lucky, but was actually intentional? Well, today, we're diving into some source material that treats the cosmos like a giant detective story. We're looking for clues, trying to see if we can find an owner's manual for the universe.
You know, we've all heard that our planet is in a Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right. But the material we're digging into today asks a much deeper question. It's not just about how the universe is so perfect for life, but why? For what purpose is everything so finely tuned?
And that, of course, brings us to the ultimate question. For whom? Was all this cosmic perfection, all this fine-tuning, just a mind-boggling coincidence? Or was it all calibrated for a very specific audience? Maybe for us? That's the mystery we're getting into right now.
Okay, so where do we start our investigation? Well, our first big clue comes straight from the world of physics. Because when scientists really examine the fundamental laws of our universe, they don't find chaos. Nope, they find a reality that is just exquisitely, unbelievably fine-tuned for existence.
It's a concept called the anthropic principle. Now, on one level, it's pretty straightforward. Of course, the universe has to be the way it is, because if it were any different, we wouldn't be around to even notice. But it gets really strange when you realize just how many cosmic dials had to be turned to the exact perfect setting for us to exist. We're talking about odds that are just staggering. For instance, if the force of gravity were off by just 1 part in 10 to the 60th power, that's a 1 with 60 zeros after it, none of this would be here.
And check this out. What's really fascinating is how the requirements just keep ramping up. You know, just to get simple, basic life off the ground, the laws of physics have to be just right, okay? But for that life to survive for billions of years, you need a whole new level of stability. And for intelligent life to show up, you need an even richer, more complex environment. And for a technological civilization like ours, whoa, the level of fine-tuning needed just explodes exponentially. It gets more and more precise at every single step.
So the argument from the source material is this. When you add up all these insane calibrations, all these coincidences, the universe doesn't just look compatible with life in general. It looks specifically engineered for complex, intelligent, human life. It's a conclusion that's pretty hard to ignore.
Okay, so that's clue number 1, from physics. Now let's turn to our next piece of evidence. This is where the source material points out a really surprising parallel between what science is telling us today and claims that were made in ancient texts thousands of years ago. It's kind of like listening for an echo across time.
For pretty much all of human history, everybody just assumed the universe was eternal. It had always been here, right? But then, in the 20th century, everything changed. Einstein's theory of general relativity, which has been confirmed over and over, showed that our universe had a definitive beginning, a single moment when all of space, all of time, all matter and energy just burst into existence.
And this is the echo. Thousands of years before Einstein, back when everyone thought the universe was eternal, the very first sentence of the Bible makes this wild claim, that everything had a beginning, and that whatever caused it was outside of it.
I mean, just think about how mind-bending this is. It's not just that stuff began to exist, it's that time itself had a starting point. It's a creation of the universe. So before the Big Bang, there was no before. Time didn't exist yet. Science now agrees on this.
And again, the source material points to Scripture, which talks about things happening before the beginning of time. The logic here is pretty clear. If something could create time itself, then that cause must exist outside of time. It can't be bound by the very thing it created.
All right, so let's zoom in from the scale of the entire cosmos right down to our own backyard, planet Earth. The source material presents our planet's history not as a series of random accidents, but as a careful, step-by-step preparation for life to arrive.
Science tells us that early Earth, well, it was not a nice place. It was dark, the atmosphere was thick and opaque, the entire surface was covered in water. And yet, it's in this dark, watery, seemingly uninhabitable world that the fossil record shows life first appeared. And it didn't just creep in, it appeared suddenly.
And life didn't just show up and diversify immediately. For billions of years, it stayed pretty simple. And then, about 543 million years ago, something incredible happens. Geologists call it the Cambrian explosion. In what's basically a blink of an eye in geological time, the fossil record just explodes with a dizzying variety of complex animal forms. It's like the stage was set, and then suddenly all the actors rushed on at once.
So you have this sudden, incredible burst of diverse life in the oceans. And this is what the source material connects to another one of those ancient echoes, the simple, poetic description from Genesis. Let the waters teem with living creatures.
And that brings us to the climax of the story. After billions of years of cosmic and planetary preparation, we arrive on the scene, humans. And with our arrival, it's like the rules of the game just completely change.
I mean, just look at this contrast. On one hand, you have the biological record. The rate of new species appearing, it slows to a crawl. But on the other hand, the cultural record, it ignites. Art, sophisticated tools, music, evidence of worship, they don't seem to evolve gradually. They just appear, suddenly and fully formed. It's a total break from every pattern that came before.
So what happened? What on earth could explain this massive, sudden shift? Well, the source material turns to Scripture for its proposed answer, that human beings, and humans alone, are created in the image of God.
Now, according to the source, this has nothing to do with a physical resemblance. It's not about how we look, it's about a shared set of capacities. Things like self-awareness, the ability to reason about right and wrong, creativity, this deep, deep longing for meaning and purpose. Think about it. No other species on Earth builds cathedrals or writes symphonies or stares up at the stars and asks, "Why am I here?"
So, as we start to wrap up our investigation for today, what have we found? What are the big takeaways from all the evidence that's been presented here?
The core argument being presented in our source material is that you have these two different lines of evidence, the book of nature, as revealed by science, and the book of Scripture. And when you read them together, they seem to be telling the exact same story, one of intelligence, of intention, and of purpose. It's like having two books with one author.
I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. Almost 14 billion years of cosmic evolution. According to this view, it wasn't just random. It was unimaginable precision and extraordinary care, all leading up to this moment, to us. If this perspective is true, then we are not an accident, we are the intention.
But this leads to an unavoidable and really challenging question. I'm sure it's on your mind. If this universe was so meticulously designed for us, if it was made with such care, then why does it feel so broken? Why is a world built with such intention also filled with so much pain, suffering, decay, and death?
That is the profound mystery we are going to tackle next time. If the owner's manual points to a perfect design, why does the machine itself seem to be failing so badly? Join us for our next explainer as we explore exactly that. Why isn't the universe already paradise?